forward, please. United States Marine Corps. United States Navy. United States Army. United States Coast Guard. Do we have any coasties here? Come on. There we go. There's always one. There's always one. Of course, the United States Air Force. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, veterans. They say it's a somewhat shameless plug for the Air Force. I'm sorry, but he who has the mic has the power. At this time, we'd like to honor a special group of veterans. Some of you that have been to our previous events know what I'm going to do next. We're going to honor our Vietnam veterans and our Vietnam era veterans. We'd like you to line up right across the front here, if you would, and face the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to give these men and these women a standing ovation and a loud round of applause for what they've done. They didn't, as Rocky say, run to Canada when their number was called. They served their country with honor, with dignity, and with pride. When they came back here, they weren't treated the way our veterans are treated today. So we're going to give them the welcome home that they deserve. We're going to thank them for what they did. And I'm going to turn it over to Rocky, because Rocky has a special tribute song that he'd like to sing to you.
Many of these men were drafted. Like I said, they didn't go to Canada. They went to Da Nang. They served our country with duty, with honor, with fidelity, with valor. And when they came home, there was nobody waiting at the airport, at least not to say something good to them. Many times they were told to take their uniform off so they would not get disrespected. And today here in Willard, Ohio, we have something to say to y'all. Thank you. I want to thank you from my heart. And there's a million others just like me who want to do the same. We want to thank you. Finally say the words we should have said. It's long overdue. We want to thank you. This song is for all you did. I saw you back when I was a kid. Saigon was burning on my TV. And I remember when you came home, you must have felt all alone. Well, it's a little late, but I want to say it. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you from my heart. And there's a million others just like me who want to do the same. We want to thank you. Finally say the words we should have said. It's long overdue. We want to thank you. Welcome home after all these years. We've seen the wall, we've shared your tears. 58,479 strong. Woo! Brave men and women fell. Lord knows it must have been hell. And I'm sorry that it took so long. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you from my heart. And there's a million others just like me who want to do the same. We want to thank you. Finally say the words we should have said. It's long overdue. We want to thank you. Yes, it's so long overdue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome home, brothers. Welcome home. Should have been making fun of the Army. He's got you now.
You got me now? Okay. Gentlemen, I would have considered it an honor to have served with you in Vietnam. Didn't have that opportunity to do so, but I certainly consider it a privilege to be considered your comrade in arms. Thank you for your outstanding service. You did it with dedication, pride, and we want to welcome you home. We want to thank you. And I'm going to ask the audience if they'll help me appropriately welcome you home and thank you. When I count to three, audience, would you please say thank you and welcome home? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Gino Zimmer, come up to the stage, please. Gino, come to the stage. All right, everybody check under your seat, see if Gino's under there. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and get started with our program tonight. First of all, we lucked out with the weather. It wasn't looking good a few days ago, but there's some poetic justice to all of this. Here we go. Beautiful weather. Hopefully it's a little bit cooler underneath the tent. So good evening. Great crowd. There's a lot of you out there. Thank you all for coming. On behalf of the City of Willard, welcome to tonight's program. The City of Willard is honored to host the Ohio Flags of Honor for the first time, and its Gold Star family members that are present tonight. This community, if you don't know, is rich with veterans of all eras, and those who are still currently serving. The spirit and love from all the residents strongly resonates in this community, and can be seen through all they do. From the programs at Willard High School, to the hometown hero banners that you may have seen displayed throughout the town as you drove through. Willard is a special place that holds all our military to its highest regard, as well as understanding the price of freedom. I'd like to state a few special welcomes. First to Gino, a Gold Star father. Gino is the founder and president of the Ohio Flags of Honor. A special welcome to all of our Gold Star families present tonight. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. And for those that are familiar faces, thanks for continuing to put up with me. I love going back and forth with some of you. A cordial and sincere welcome to our honored guests on our stage and to our military veterans and active military personnel here with us tonight. And lastly, thank you to all the Ohio Flags of Honor board members who are present and who have participated with this event. At this time, even though I feel like you've already heard from him a lot, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Lieutenant Colonel Angelo Nuzzo, United States Air Force retired. Angelo served, if you don't know, for over 20 years on active duty in the United States Air Force. During his career, Lieutenant Colonel Nuzzo spent 7 years at the Pentagon, which is where he was on 9/11, when American Airlines Flight 77 slammed into the building. Since his retirement, Mr. Nuzzo has had many endeavors to include being past treasurer of the Ohio Flags of Honor and the current events coordinator, including his ongoing brotherhood with Gino Zimmer. My honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Angelo Nuzzo.
Thank you, and what a wonderful crowd. This is beautiful. I got to say, this is one of our largest crowds again. This is twice in a month we've had this happen to us. This is fantastic. And I got to tell you, Bellevue and Norwalk, you just got put on notice. Just saying. I'm just saying. And it is an honor for us to be here in Willard tonight. Thank you. I do want to take just a quick second here to recognize a few of those individuals that were instrumental in putting this weekend together. There were so many, I can't get into each and every one individually, but first of all, to your city manager, Jim Ludman. Jim, thank you very much, you and your staff and your wonderful community, for hosting us here this weekend. You guys have really rolled out the red carpet for us, and it's greatly appreciated. Special thanks to Kim Elmlinger. She around here? Where's she at? She's really kept it going over there, man. She was firing out emails over the last several days to make sure everything was on track. She's done a great job. And wow. And we also had a great planning team as well. Every meeting I came to, there was just, there's more people every meeting I came to. So it was just great to see everybody that they had rolled in on as part of that. If you were part of that team, would you raise your hand or stand up? Please. There's someone in the back, a few in the back, up here, Chief. Yep. There's more of them. I think they're being shy. But thank you. Outstanding job. To all of you that assisted or will assist in any way with this weekend, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for what you did for these Gold Star families here to ensure that the memories of their loved ones live on. You played a huge role in the success of this weekend, and believe me when I say, we could not do this without you. We're an all-volunteer army. None of us gets paid to be out here to do this. And it would be just Gino and I otherwise, and we could never make this happen, what you did for us today. I mean, it was one of the fastest setups, again, that we've ever had. I was back in the back, and they started laying those pipes in, and by the next thing I know, they're already down in the valley, and they're heading west. So they were really, really doing a good job with that. So we really thank you for all the support. Again, you've been so gracious. It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you. Yeah, give yourselves a round of applause. Absolutely, absolutely. What I'd like to do over the next few minutes is just introduce you to the Ohio Flags of Honor. I'm sure for most of you, this is the first time that you've ever seen it. Show of hands, how many times is this the first time you've seen the Ohio Flags of Honor? Quite a few. So I'm going to talk to you. I know some of the families have heard me say this, and I just beg your indulgences here as I go through this. I've had the good fortune to know Gino since April 2006 when he first came to visit us in Brook Park to see if we would host his memorial. And my boss at the time agreed to host it that year and every other year thereafter. And you've heard how when God closes one door, he opens another. Well, when God chose to take Gino's son Nick home on May 30th, 2004, God opened the door to a wonderful friendship that probably would never have occurred otherwise. So I chose to jump on board Gino's team, and our friendship has grown to the point that I've come to love that man like a brother. He's one of my personal heroes, and I just can't say enough about the man. If I say any more, I'm going to start crying. So I'm going to leave it at that. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Ohio Flags of Honor, let me introduce you to the memorial. As I said, on May 30th, 2004, just over 15 years ago, Gino and Lisa Zimmer's son, Nicholas, was in the gunner position on top of his M1A1 Abrams tank when the enemy dropped a mortar round on top of the tank in Kufa, Iraq. Yes, it was a direct hit on Nick, and he was the only crew member on the tank that died that day. When Nick came home, the military would not let Gino and Lisa open the casket. They never had the closure a parent would like to have with their child. Through a sequence of events that revolved the return of the 325 Marines from Iraq, Gino and Lisa established the Ohio Flags of Honor Foundation as a way to honor their son and his fallen Ohio comrades. Since that time, from its humble beginnings, Gino has traveled the state of Ohio, taking this beautiful memorial to any community that would host it, which includes 16 locations this year alone. In a few minutes, we are going to begin the procession of the Flags of Honor. We'll carry in the flags one by one, and you'll have an opportunity to have the honor of helping us. However, I'd like to take another second to, if you would indulge me for a few more minutes, because I want to talk about what you're about to experience here this weekend. This weekend, beyond just carrying one of the Flags of Honor in today. I want to talk to you specifically about catching the spirit of the memorial in Gino's heart for ensuring his son and his fallen comrades are not forgotten. I hope you'll take the time here this weekend to get to know Gino the way I know Gino. This guy travels the state of Ohio from Memorial Day to Veterans Day if necessary, with little fanfare, to bring this magnificent memorial around to any community that will host him. So what's the memorial all about? Well, I think the memorial has a threefold purpose. Yes, we're here to honor our fallen heroes. As I mentioned before, that was Gino and Lisa's primary purpose for creating the memorial. Yes, we're here to let the families know that we are grateful and appreciate that sacrifice, and that we will do everything we can to make sure that we as a community, as a state, and as a nation will never forget them and the sacrifice they've made for us. And number three, I submit to you that this has now also become a healing memorial. For the Zimmers and the other families that attend, what you have done for them has touched them in a way we can't imagine. But let me just share a few other stories of healing that this memorial has provided. Our first time we were in Parma Heights about 7 or 8 years ago now, and at the closing ceremony, this elderly woman come up to us and said, "I want you to know that I lost a brother in World War II some 65, 70 years ago." And she said, "I never had closure until this weekend when I had an opportunity to carry those flags of honor." In one other instance, Gino, as often happens during the weekend, people come in and they will be shedding tears inside the memorial for different reasons. It's either a family member, friend, or just the magnitude of what they're witnessing here will really affect some people. Well, on this particular day, Gino noticed a woman crying out there. He went out into the memorial and asked her, is there anything he could do for her? And was it someone she knew? And she said, no. She says, "I was a Vietnam War protester, and I'm pretty much ashamed for what I did to those veterans when they came back from Vietnam." She said, "I'm here to seek forgiveness." So Gino put his arms around her and said, "As far as I'm concerned, you're forgiven." So here you are, these young men and women have left this earth, but the impact that they're having has not stopped. Through this memorial, they continue to live on, and they continue to have a great impact on people's lives just like they did when they were living. And I'm telling you, there's countless other stories. We could probably write a book about the many different ways that people have been helped and touched through this memorial. The young men and women we honor here today made a difference in the lives of many while they were alive, and will continue through this beautiful memorial to make a difference in the lives today. That's a tribute to them and the cause they served and died for. I've heard this quote once, and I often like to share it at each weekend. "A man is not dead until he is forgotten." So for those of us here in attendance, it's our responsibility to those young men and women to never forget them and what they did for us. Please, I hope I never hear you say, "I've been to one of those flags of honor ceremonies. There's no need for me to see another." Been there, done that. I hope we don't get into that syndrome. Because really, now that you understand what this memorial is really about, you should actually be able to double or triple the size the next time this event comes through Willard. As always, I pray God will continue to bless Gino, keep him safe so he can forge ahead with his vision of ensuring that we never forget the Ohioans that paid the ultimate price for our freedom. And to the families of our fallen heroes, thank you, folks, for blessing us here with your presence this weekend. You and your children remain forever in our thoughts and prayers. And as you know, I always tell you, may God bless you with the strength and courage to face each new day, and may he fill your hearts and minds with his peace, a peace that surpasses all human understanding. And at this time, I'm going to turn the mic over.
Tonight, posting the colors, we are happy to have the 173rd Airlift Wing from Mansfield, Ohio, down at Lom Airfield, presenting the colors for this evening's program. With that said, march on the colors.
Freeze and hoot!
Leading us tonight in the Pledge of Allegiance will be Sergeant Tim Pelsing from the 94th Engineer Support Company, Ohio Army National Guard. That will be followed by Rocky Lynn with the national anthem, and we will go into our invocation.
Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Will you bow their heads in prayer with me, please? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, ask for your peace and your presence in this place. As we gather here tonight to honor and remember those who have paid the ultimate price for our freedoms. It takes an incredible person to face the possibility of war and death, especially a death that will save the lives of people you've never met. Your word tells us in John 15:13, and it says that greater love has no one than this, that he laid down his life for his friends. Just as Jesus sacrificed his life so that we may be free, so too have many of our nation's soldiers and those here in the state of Ohio. Tonight, Father, we say a prayer of thanks for those brave souls willing to make such a sacrifice for our country. Letting them know that we love them, and the love that we have for them and for this country, that we are returning it by celebrating them and remembering them this evening and this weekend. Father, I ask for you to place a special blessing upon this time that has been set aside to honor these men and these women. I ask that you would bring peace into the hearts of the families, only peace that you can give, because only you can understand their pain and their loss. I ask that you would continue to bring them comfort and to bring them joy. Father, we thank you. We thank you for giving us the greatest gift, your Son, Jesus, a gift that you freely gave to us, even when we didn't deserve it. And Father, for that, we thank you. And we ask these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Please be seated. And thank you, Pastor Mike Harrell. He's with the Willard First Assembly. Thank you for that wonderful invocation. Now we're at the point. It is now time to honor those brave Ohio men and women who, in simple obedience to duty, accepted the call to serve their great country and made the ultimate sacrifice. This evening, I'd like to call upon Mr. Van Ramsey, a retired teacher from Willard Junior High School, and Mr. David Harwood of Harwood and Niedermeyer Law Firm, as they will be our readers for the names of our fallen heroes. If I can have them come up, just go ahead and get in place. You'll also see a bell over here. After each name is read, the bell will be tolled by the members of the Fraternal Order of the Leatherhead Society, known as the Fools for short. And to their left, your right, in that lovely regalia, you'll notice the 4th degree Knights of Columbus from the Archbishop Shrem's Assembly 810. They will be rendering their salute during the posting of the flags of honor. I do want you to know a couple house announcements while we go through this process. For all personnel that are going to bring a flag out, our direction of travel would be to your left, to my right. You will come up past the stage. You will go on the far side of the pavilion. You will come around to the pavilion and come around. Erica, if you could raise your hand, where Erica is standing there, and you'll pick up your flag. You will come back behind the stage and come to my right, your left as you're looking at it, and come right around front. It is very important as you're holding that flag, make sure that that name is facing our readers so that they are able to read that name appropriately. And then you will proceed right out in between where the Knights of Columbus are, and you will be directed there as to where to place your flag. As always, Gino will place the first flag of honor of his son, Nicholas. Followed by Gino tonight will be our Gold Star families. If you would like to go ahead and proceed to grab your flags. If there are any individuals of our honored guests who are putting flags out, I would ask you to go ahead up now and fall in behind the Gold Star families, please. After our honored guests, if you have reserved a flag of a family member or friend, please fall in behind them. And for all others, please follow the direction of the line and the personnel in place to guide you to posting your location. If there is someone around you who is disabled or has difficulty standing or walking, please be considerate and allow them to go ahead of you. If you see someone struggling with that flag, or we have a wonderful child who is wanting to participate and they're struggling with that, please help them. Let's try to avoid the flag hitting the ground at all costs. At this time, I would like to invite everybody to come on up and please place a flag. Thank you.
Specialist Nicholas E. Zimmer, United States Army.
Private First Class Jason L. Sparks, United States Army.
Specialist Charles L. Atkins, United States Army. Sergeant First Class, excuse me.
Sergeant First Class Gregory S. Rogers, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Jeremy S. Schock, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Justin F. Hoffman, United States Marine Corps.
Captain Sean L. English, United States Army.
Private First Class Ryan A. Martin, United States Army.
Private First Class Samuel R. Bowen, United States Army.
First Lieutenant Charles L. Wilkins III, United States Army.
Sergeant Jeremy M. Hodge, United States Army.
Specialist David H. Ford IV, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Paul C. Martis Jr., United States Army.
First Lieutenant John M. Runkle Jr., United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Jonathan L. Martin, United States Army.
Chief Warrant Officer Donald V. Clark, United States Army.
Sergeant Jonathan P. Kingman, United States Army.
Specialist Cody D. Suggs, United States Army.
Private First Class Jesse R. Burgess, United States Army.
Specialist Michael K. Frank, United States Army.
Mr. Stephen F. Bias, Department of Defense.
Sergeant David J. Luff Jr., United States Army.
Lance Corporal Randy M. Heck, United States Marine Corps.
Gunnery Sergeant David S. Spicer, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Kenneth T. Butler, United States Army.
Chief Warrant Officer Christopher R. Thibodeau, United States Army.
Sergeant Corey M. Endlich, United States Army.
Petty Officer Michael J. Holtz, United States Navy.
Staff Sergeant Matthew J. Kuglix, United States Air Force.
Specialist Ethan J. Biggers, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Curtis A. Mitchell, United States Army.
Lieutenant Thomas P. Belkoffer, United States Army.
Sergeant Robert M. Carr, United States Army.
Private First Class Heath D. Warner, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal James F. Kimple, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Nicholas B. Erdy, United States Marine Corps.
Private Brandon U. Sloan, United States Army.
Gunnery Sergeant Robert L. Gilbert II, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Derek A. Wyatt, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Edwards L. Brooks, United States Army.
Private First Class James P. White, Jr., United States Army.
Corporal Jeffrey A. Boscovich, United States Marine Corps.
Chief Warrant Officer Jody L. Egnor, United States Army.
Corporal Jeremy R. Green, United States Army.
Private First Class James H. Miller IV, United States Army.
Specialist Alan J. Knopp, United States Army.
Sergeant David R. Christoph, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Kendall H. Ivey, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Anthony D. Kinslow, United States Army.
Chief Warrant Officer Theodore U. Church, United States Army.
Sergeant James C. Robinson, United States Army.
Sergeant Kurt D. Schomburg, United States Army.
Private First Class Timothy J. Hines, Jr., United States Army.
Lance Corporal Taylor B. Przezinski, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Adam D. Jones, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Vincent J. Pomat III, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Andrew W. Nowacki, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Joshua A. Ramsey, United States Army.
First Lieutenant Aaron N. Season, United States Army.
Corporal Paul W. Zanowick II, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Joshua B. McDaniels, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Michael C. O'Neill, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Shannon M. Smith, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Terry C. Wright, United States Marine Corps.
Master Sergeant Anthony G. Shaw, United States Air Force.
Corporal Andre L. Williams, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Gerald R. Jenkins, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Sonny C. Zimmerman, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Gordon G. Solomon, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Joshua S. Harmon, United States Army.
Lance Corporal David R. Hall, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Todd J. Godwin, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Keith M. Maupin, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Omar T. Hawkins II, United States Army.
Sergeant Cameron H. Thomas, United States Army.
Major Rocco M. Barnes, United States Army.
Specialist Robert P. Hartwig, United States Army.
Sergeant Donald R. Mickler Jr., United States Army.
Lance Corporal Eric J. Bernholtz, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant John M. Schoolcraft III, United States Army.
Master Sergeant Jeffrey J. Reich, United States Army.
Specialist Samuel F. Pearson, United States Army.
First Lieutenant Ashley I. White Stumpf, United States Army.
Master Sergeant Adam F. Benjamin, United States Marine Corps.
First Sergeant Ricky L. McGinnis, United States Army.
Lance Corporal David A. Mendez Ruiz, United States Marine Corps.
First Lieutenant Christopher N. Rutherford, United States Army.
Specialist Joshua D. Jones, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Sean G. Landris, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Charles Kaiser, United States Army.
Sergeant First Class Bradley S. Hughes, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Lucas C. Scott, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Jeremy E. Murray, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Kevin J. Kessler, United States Army.
Specialist Marco M. Sampson, United States Army.
Captain Dennis L. Pintor, United States Army.
Corporal Lucas T. Pyatt, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Stephen D. Conover, United States Army.
Master Sergeant David A. Scott, United States Air Force.
Sergeant Michael W. Fink, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Jeremy D. Barnett, United States Army.
Captain Warren A. Frank, United States Marine Corps.
Major Gregory J. Fester, United States Army.
Specialist Donald S. Morrison, United States Army.
Sergeant Justin Allen, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Christopher L. Brown, United States Army.
Sergeant First Class Daniel B. Crabtree, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Seamus O. Gore, United States Army.
Sergeant Michael C. Barkey, United States Army.
Specialist Nicholas P. Brown, United States Army.
Sergeant Larry R. Coons, Jr., United States Army.
Captain Matthew Mattingly, United States Army.
Corporal Sean D. Fannin, United States Army.
Lieutenant Miroslav S. Zilberman, United States Army.
Sergeant Benjamin J. Lehman, United States Army.
Private First Class Brandon F. Oberleitner, United States Army.
Corporal Dustin A. Durga, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Gustavo A. Rios Ordonez, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Ryan D. Foraker, United States Army.
Specialist First Class Robert A. Swaney, United States Army.
Corporal Andrew D. Brownfield, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class William S. Blevins, United States Army.
Specialist Adam S. Hamilton, United States Army.
Corporal Joseph A. Thompson, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Joshua S. Geyer, United States Army.
Private First Class Devin J. Grella, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Robert B. Cowdrey, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Jacob D. Spann, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Daniel R. Sherry, United States Marine Corps.
First Lieutenant Michael L. Runyon, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Christopher J. Dyer, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Zachary T. Myers, United States Army.
Corporal Daniel J. Freeman, United States Army.
Sergeant Major Joseph J. Ellis, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Anthony M.K. Vintage, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Michael J. Cifuentes, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Harrison J. Meyer, United States Army.
Sergeant William W. Crow, Jr., United States Army.
Sergeant Charles J. Webb, United States Army.
Sergeant Michael M. Kashkus, United States Marine Corps.
Captain Roselle M. Hoffmaster, United States Army.
Private First Class Jason Cox, United States Army.
Private Adam R. Johnson, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Timothy M. Bell, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Joshua C. Taylor, United States Marine Corps.
Master Sergeant Brian K. Naisman, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Travis L. Griffin, United States Air Force.
Private First Class Keith V. Nepsa, United States Army.
Sergeant Nathaniel S. Rock, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Joseph W. Riley, United States Army.
Specialist Joseph A. Bauer, United States Army.
Private First Class Zachary S. Salmon, United States Army.
Private Ryan E. Miller, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Robert F. Weber, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Roger C. Turner, Jr., United States Army.
Sergeant Brian W. Large, United States Army.
Corporal David Kenneth J. Kruder, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Mark T. Smikowski, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal William B. Whiteman, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Gavin J. Colburn, United States Army.
Sergeant Norman L. Tollett, United States Army.
Specialist Nathan B. Kars, United States Army.
Specialist Jason A. Lucas, United States Army.
Private First Class Jeffrey L. Rice, United States Army.
Sergeant Gary A. Eckert, United States Army.
Specialist Gregory J. Missman, United States Army.
Lieutenant Colonel Mario D. Carrazzo, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Dennis J. Hansen, United States Army.
Chief Warrant Officer Brian K. Van Duzen, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Wesley R. Williams, United States Army.
Chief Warrant Officer Rodney A. Jarvis, United States Army.
Sergeant Bradley J. Harper, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Joseph P. Collett, United States Army.
Master Sergeant Brad A. Clemens, United States Air Force.
Specialist Charles E. Odoms II, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Stacy A. Dryden, United States Marine Corps.
Seaman Yeshabel Villo Carrasco, United States Navy.
Lance Corporal Brian N. Taylor, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Brad D. Squires, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Daniel J. Patron, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class William S. Blevins, United States Army.
Sergeant Bruce E. Horner, United States Army.
Corporal Timothy A. Knight, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Timothy D. Roos, United States Marine Corps.
Master Sergeant William L. McDaniel II, United States Army.
Private First Class Kenneth T. Butler, United States Army.
Specialist Jason J. Hernandez, United States Army.
Sergeant Jesse M. Balthaser, United States Marine Corps.
Captain Joshua M. McClymans, United States Army.
Specialist Kyle Norris, United States Army.
Sergeant First Class Daniel J. Pratt, United States Army.
Sergeant Louis R. Torres, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Peter J. Clore, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Curtis A. Oaks, United States Army.
Private First Class Christian M. Neff, United States Army.
Corporal Gavin L. Neighbor, United States Army.
Master Sergeant Sean T. Hannon, United States Army.
Sergeant Keith A. Klein, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Richard P. Ramey, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Joseph M. Garmbach, Jr., United States Army.
Lance Corporal Kevin F. S. Smith, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant Shervon Phillip, United States Marine Corps.
Chief Warrant Officer James E. Groves III, United States Army.
Captain Michael J. Metters, United States Army.
Lance Corporal William D. Spencer, United States Marine Corps.
Senior Airman Alicia S. Good, United States Air Force.
Second Lieutenant David E. Rylander, United States Army.
Sergeant Marco L. Miller, United States Army.
Specialist Alan J. Vandenberg, United States Army.
Sergeant Adam L. Knox, United States Army.
Petty Officer Second Class Darrell Jones Jr., United States Navy.
Private First Class Zachary R. Gollett, United States Army.
Private First Class James E. Powell II, United States Army.
Major Ramon J. Mendoza, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Justin R. Helton, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Aaron T. Reese, United States Army.
Sergeant First Class Bobby L. Essel, United States Army.
Private First Class Kevin C. Ott, United States Army.
Sergeant Titus R. Reynolds, United States Army.
Sergeant James R. Worcester, United States Army.
Major Michael D. Stover, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Thomas E. Waskey, United States Army.
Private Brandon P. Honert, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Bradley C. Hart, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Mark A. Wojciechowski, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Jacob A. Tate, United States Marine Corps.
Master Sergeant Robert H. West, United States Army.
Chief Petty Officer Raymond J. Border, United States Navy.
Specialist Angel L. Lopez, United States Army.
Sergeant Brett T. Christian, United States Army.
Specialist Todd M. Bates, United States Army.
Specialist Richard A. Hardy, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Dustin R. Fitzgerald, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Elvis R. Bourdon, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Devin P. Seymour, United States Marine Corps.
Sergeant John P. Hulling, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Julie R. Hickey, United States Army.
Specialist Alan Nolan, United States Army.
Captain David S. Mitchell, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Richard A. Walters, Jr., United States Army.
Airman First Class Eric M. Barnes, United States Air Force.
Lance Corporal Daniel N. Dayerman, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Michael J. Wiggins, United States Army.
Lance Corporal David S. Parr, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Kenneth S. Souslin, United States Army.
Sergeant First Class Zachary A. Grass, United States Army.
Major Michael S. Everts, United States Army.
Master Sergeant Robert J. Dowdy, United States Army.
Sergeant Daniel M. Shepard, United States Army.
Sergeant David W. Gordon, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Jason E. Burkholder, United States Army.
Captain Nicholas J. Rosansky, United States Army.
Sergeant Dennis E. Kanzler, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Aaron H. Reed, United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Nicholas E. Mesmer, United States Army.
Sergeant Patrick R. Carroll, United States Army.
Lieutenant Colonel Dominic R. Barona, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Lester O. Kenny II, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Christopher P. Lyons, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Benjamin C. Dillon, United States Army.
Lieutenant Colonel Kevin C. Sonnenberg, United States Air Force.
Sergeant Benjamin W. Biskey, United States Army.
Corporal David C. Armstrong, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Edward A. Schroeder II, United States Army. United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Kevin M. Cornelius, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Richard T. Plummel, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Richard L. Morgan, Jr., United States Army.
Seaman Lucas W. A. Emch, United States Navy.
Corporal Richard A. Gilbert, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Wesley G. Davids, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Brian P. Montgomery, United States Marine Corps.
Seaman Matthew G. Conte, United States Navy.
Captain Bart D. Owens, United States Army.
Specialist Jesse A. Snow, United States Army.
Sergeant Nicholas A. Casey, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Robert A. Massarelli, United States Army.
Specialist James C. Wright, United States Army.
Private First Class Christian D. Gertner, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal Thomas O. Keeling, United States Marine Corps.
Captain Tyler B. Swisher, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant James P. Hunter, United States Army.
Sergeant First Class Daniel E. Miller, United States Army.
Specialist Damon G. Winkleman, United States Army.
Specialist Michael B. Cook, Jr., United States Army.
Lance Corporal Robert F. Eckfield, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Private First Class Adam R. Shepard, United States Army.
Private First Class Marlon T. Rockhold, United States Army.
Staff Sergeant Jason A. Benford, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Jonathan E. Etterling, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Brad A. Davis, United States Army.
Corporal Nicholas H. Olivas, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Daniel M. McVicker, United States Marine Corps.
Lance Corporal David R. Baker, United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Derek C. Dixon, United States Marine Corps.
Specialist Jacob P. Dorenweld, United States Army.
Private First Class Christopher R. Dixon, United States Marine Corps.
Staff Sergeant Zachary R. Wobbler, United States Army.
Corporal Kevin W. Prince, United States Army.
Master Sergeant Scott M. Carney, United States Army.
Sergeant Justin T. Walsh, United States Marine Corps.
Master Sergeant Joseph Andrus, United States Army.
Lance Corporal Michael J. Smith, Jr., United States Marine Corps.
Corporal Nathan R. Anderson, United States Marine Corps.
What direction they're coming from. Pull the trigger.
Okay, quick announcement. Chet Lewandowski, if you are here, please come up to where the bell is. Chet Lewandowski, we need you. So if you're here, come up to where the bell is, please. Thank you. Want to thank our readers again and the Fools for doing such a wonderful job. And thank you to all of you for coming out to post our heroes. With that said, there are many of us who want to pay tribute. And tonight we have the privilege of Mercy Life Flight is going to be coming in. If you would like to see them come in, I would ask you to go ahead and come out of the tent. They will be approaching from the southwest on a flight path going northwest. What they'll do is they'll come in, they'll do a circle, and then they'll come in and they will bow the nose of the helicopter in honor and respect of our fallen. And then they will probably do another pass and take off. So at this time, if you'd like to see them come in, I'd ask you to go ahead and step outside the tent. We're going to trigger them to go ahead and come out now. They are already in the air. Thank you. Once they come through, they will, or once they're done, go ahead and take your seats again. Thank you.
How are they gonna go do the nose that?
Okay, I've been told they're about 30 seconds out. Once again, Chet Lewandowski, if you're here, need you to come up here pretty quickly, please. Chet Lewandowski, if you're here, need you to come up by the bell, up by the stage, so we can link up with you. Thank you. And I do hear the Life Flight helicopter coming, so they should be here any second.
one that saved us the other day. Junior.
Gilmore find his way on the helicopter and photograph.
Yeah.
As we go ahead and retake our seats, I would ask that this open area here going into the flags remain open. If you are anywhere near this opening path here, we're going to need you to clear. Camera guy, you're probably good, but just in case, be careful. You might want to come back behind the strap there. I'm going to break your camera anyway, so. And then over here to the right of the stage, yep, looks like we're already kind of clearing that. Thank you. Again, that was Mercy, Lifelight. Again, they can't hear us, but that was a very nice tribute and honor that they just bestowed on our fallen. So, round of applause to Mercy, Lifelight, please. At this time, the 6th Ohio Cavalry will conduct the Riderless Horse tribute. Escorting the riderless horse this evening is First Sergeant Trevor Harlow of the 945th Engineer Company out of Norwalk. Rendering a salute, Lieutenant Colonel retired Angelo Nuzzo will dismiss the riderless horse detail.
Right? Turn.
Please be seated. A special thank you to Daryl Marcajon and the 6th Ohio Cavalry, First Sergeant Harlow, and Lieutenant Colonel Angelo Nuzzo for the riderless horse tribute. Okay, for those that are actually following your programs, we lied to you, so we're going to move on. Tonight's guest speaker is a pretty good guy. I met him last year, and he was about as loud and obnoxious as I was, so we hit it off right off the bat. High five, buddy. Joel A. Capel was born to Lyle and Gail Capel in 1976 in Willard, Ohio. His military career began with the United States Army as a combat engineer in 1995. He obtained a baccalaureate degree in 2000 from Wittenberg University in Springfield, Ohio, where he studied computer graphics and sociology. Joel has been deployed on 3 separate year-long tours in support of the global war on terrorism. While serving as an engineer in 2003-2004, he assisted with the construction of a bridge, tactical operations center, and with clearing improvised explosive devices from the streets of Iraq. In 2013-2014, he served as a logistics contracting officer representative, where he supervised United States Army cargo being shipped from Afghanistan. In 2017-2018, he served as a counterterrorism equipment and train fund manager, where he provided funding and equipment to our local national allied partners in the battle against ISIS. During over a 25-year military career, he has earned 22 military service medals, including a Meritorious Service Medal, 2 Army Commendation Medals, a German Armed Forces Proficiency Badge, a Combat Action Badge, and 2 Meritorious Unit Citations. He plans to be retired within the year. Joel may be found at one of his children's sporting events, shooting guns on Granddad's farm, or on a motorcycle ride with his wife Jennifer. The Mauser Capel Motorcycle Club of Mount Victory is his motorcycle club. Joel had always dreamed of being a member of a motorcycle gang, so he created one. Joel also wrote a book, and it was published. It's called Radio Silence. It's a great book. He did not put that in his bio. I put that in for him because he's a humble man. And this way I get to make fun of him later because I told everybody he wrote a book. So with that, it is my honor and privilege to introduce tonight's guest speaker, Sergeant First Class Joel Capel.
Good evening, Willard, Ohio. How is everyone? Good. Let me get situated here. Well, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me this evening. I'd like to give special thanks first off to Gino and all of the Ohio Flags of Honor members for this extraordinary ceremony. I don't know how a speaker is supposed to ever follow that. I mean, wasn't that amazing? Absolutely amazing. I'd also like to thank everyone, City of Willard, all the volunteers for assisting and organizing this wonderful event here in Willard. So I've always been a person who has gotten shivers down my spine on just hearing the national anthem. But what I experienced last year at my first Ohio Flags of Honor ceremony, it shook my soul. And I hope many of you are feeling the same way right now as I did last year. So after attending, yeah, absolutely, another round of applause. It's amazing, is it not? After attending this ceremony last year in Bellevue, I was asked immediately to speak next year in Willard. So this evening, humbled and honored, I'm here to tell you a little of my own story, what the United States and its flag have meant to me over the years. So behind me is Old Glory, the Stars and Stripes, the Star-Spangled Banner, the flag, my flag, your flag, our flag. I'm not going to discuss a history of the flag, but talk about it more on a personal level, more like Grandpa telling stories around the campfire. So I spent the first 19 years of my life here in this small town of Willard. I attended Greenfield Elementary in Steuben, where I would stand every morning, place my hand over my heart, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. As a child, by doing simple things such as reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, I learned to have a respect for our flag, a reverence for our great nation and its veterans, and to have a sense of patriotism. These things were gifted to me, freely, publicly, and shamelessly. They allowed me to take a personal ownership of my patriotism. In other words, the flag, it was no longer just a flag, it was my flag. It was personal to me, as it remains today. When I joined the U.S. Army at the age of 18, my flag transformed from simple childhood patriotism into the 7 Army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Then came 9/11, and all of our lives changed. I remember exactly what I was doing on September 11th, 2001. We all remember. Those of us here will never forget. On 9/11, I was a newly married college grad building beautiful custom homes in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. The Army had delivered on its original promise of 60% paid college tuition, and I had just signed up for 6 more years because the Army was going to pay off all the rest of my student loans. In either my work boots or my combat boots, life was good. Mid-morning that morning, my boss yelled loudly from across the other side of the house that we were building, and he motioned with his arm, "Everybody get down here real quick." And he was pointing at the radio. And we immediately noticed the concern on his face, and we began to pay attention in awe as the news reporters all interrupted the normal broadcasting. 3 of the 4 hijacked planes were successful in reaching their targets that day, killing thousands of Americans. The 4th airplane that was hijacked was United Airlines Flight 93. Flight 93, as you know, crashed into a field in Pennsylvania before reaching its intended destination of the White House. Then Vice President Dick Cheney in the Presidential Emergency Operations Center deep under the White House is reported to have said, "I think an act of heroism just took place on that plane." As a member of the U.S. military for the last 25 years, my flag will not stand for silence after an attack on our country. Those heroes on Flight 93 who caused the hijacked flight to crash, their flag did not stand for that either. America's flag will never stand for that. So we went to war. And since 9/11, my Army bags have never been unpacked. Soon after 9/11, I was at war in Iraq. While in Iraq, we all hoped that we brought some of our sense of American virtues with us. So we all tried in small ways to keep our humanity at the forefront of the war. For instance, although Iraqis loved soccer, most Iraqi children at the time had never kicked around a real soccer ball. The utter poverty and persecution of the Iraqi people was horrific to me and most Americans. There were giant castles in every town for Saddam and his Ba'athist party, but the rest of the nation was truly starving to death. So while in Iraq, I ordered 40 soccer balls from Amazon.com. And every small village within 100 miles of Tikrit, Iraq, had a couple soccer balls by the time that I left. My flag would not stand for poverty and persecution. And there are countless stories of American service members whose flag would not stand for that either. One of the greatest stories that I have personally experienced, one that many service members can share, happened repeatedly in Texas at the airline terminal where U.S. military would last touch American soil before heading overseas. This story is entitled The Hug Lady. Elizabeth Laird attended nearly every single deployment and homecoming in Fort Hood, Texas from 2003 through 2015. Known to most of us veterans simply as the Hug Lady, she would stand at the door as we walked out of the terminal in a single file line and would give each of us a big hug before boarding the plane that would transport us to the Middle East. Imagine an old woman resembling everyone's grandmother, standing less than 5 feet tall, opening her arms wide enough to embrace the largest of men in full military uniform. No matter how long it took, she would hug every single one of us. Even when her health began to deteriorate, she would then catch a taxi to the terminal and hand out her dose of love to each and every one of us, both coming and again when we got home. On returning, she'd be there. The first person that we met, Elizabeth Laird, hugged every single one of us when we got off that plane. She gave over 500,000 hugs to servicemen and women over the course of 12 years. 500,000 hugs. Even if it was well into the wee hours of the morning. Now, the Army, they don't do anything at a normal time. So at 2:30 in the morning is when you have to get on your plane to go to Iraq, because we couldn't do it at like 8 a.m. or something. But Elizabeth Laird was always there. 500,000 hugs. During her last few weeks in the hospital, service members from across the country traveled to Killeen, Texas, to return the hug that she had once given them. So let me paint you this picture. In the hospital where this feeble old woman lay during her last days, an endless procession of veterans visited her. Lines of soldiers, airmen, and Marines, thousands, waited in quiet murmur just outside of her room, winding around the corners of the hallways, even outside in a separate building because there was too many people to fit in all the hospital waiting areas. These lines of humanity were made up of camouflaged American service members whose hearts she had once touched. They waited as long as it took to give back the simplest gift that had ever been given to them. A gift that ensured appreciation and love before going to war for their country, and then again in giving thanks on returning home. The gift of a warm and gentle hug. Can you imagine, once again, 500,000 hugs. And 4 of them were for me. Now, even the slightest chance that any American military member would feel unappreciated or unloved as they stepped onto a plane headed for war was unacceptable to Elizabeth Laird, aka the Hug Lady. Elizabeth Laird's flag would not stand for that. Most Americans strive to be the best that we can be. We try, but we are human. Unfortunately, there are more sobering stories of humanity during my time overseas, and this story is about a young boy we called Peanut Butter. Peanut Butter waved us down one morning while we were on an IED route clearance mission 50 miles north of Baghdad. He informed us of a large stockpile of artillery rounds, a favorite for IED makers. Now, it's not commonplace in America for us to walk around and just find rounds laying around. But in Iraq, it's common, or it was. You'd just be walking down and there would be artillery rounds just laying around. And this boy was bringing them to us because we were in charge of detonating them so they couldn't be used as IEDs. The men on my engineer team gave Peanut Butter some candy and some peanut butter packets as a simple gesture of kindness. The boy, however, mistakenly understood our gifts to him as a controlled exchange process. In his eyes, if he gave us IED munitions, he'd receive peanut butter. Which is crazy, you know. As Americans, we think about it and we're like, what? But this little boy and his enterprise gives an accurate depiction of the oppression that the Iraqi people were enduring. He brought us bombs for a packet of peanut butter. The years of Saddam Hussein's dictatorship, followed by Al-Qaeda, were simply awful. And we attempted in translation to tell this little boy not to bring any more Qunbala, which is Arabic for bomb, fearing for his life, yet he continued to do so. For a month, he became part of our lives in the area that we patrolled. The Qunbala for peanut butter exchange continued until one day it didn't. None of us truly know what happened to Peanut Butter. He disappeared after Al-Qaeda attacked the village where he and his family resided. The intelligence reports from the incident were quite grim. Many villagers, including women and children, were never seen or heard from again. And although he disappeared permanently from our roadside excursion, he will forever hold a spot in my heart, as well as the rest of my engineer team's heart. I can guarantee that. The absence of Peanut Butter from our mission added to my growing internal anger about the war. And although I'm certain he was on everyone's mind, not another word was spoken of Peanut Butter. We managed to maintain radio silence. So in 2018, I published a book, where'd it go? Titled Radio Silence. And this book is a conglomeration of my short stories that I began writing in 2016. 1 year after returning from Iraq, my flag changed once again. Instead of seeing the red, white, and blue, I saw only red. Radio silence began as a therapeutic way for me to stop seeing only red, and eventually it worked. I was finally able to break my own radio silence regarding the war. So let me explain. After Iraq, I needed help dealing with survivor's remorse, nightmares, and flashbacks, and among other PTSD symptoms. And all of you are aware that we're still fighting the war on terror in the Middle East. And during these last 18 years of war, I had developed a harmful obsession. I could not allow myself to let go of the war. It was my war, my generation, and my buddies. If they were going to fight by my God and by my flag, so was I. My flag will not stand for being absent from their side. So I did fight for as long as I could. For 25 years and 3-year-long deployments, my bags were truly never unpacked. After Iraq, I dug myself into a pretty deep hole. It was bad, rock bottom. I was a train wreck. I was isolated, confused. I was suffocating, and I ended up separated from my family. And the only way out seemed like ending it all. And I wanted to let go of the rope, that proverbial thread that you hang on to at your wit's end. I wanted to just let go. Within the pages of Radio Silence, there's a story about reaching my bottom entitled No More Hope and No More Rope. The story that I'm about to tell you, however, can't be found in my book, but in fact, it's a direct result of it. A lifelong friend of mine was going through some very serious health issues, and while he was laid up in the hospital for an extended period of time, he read Radio Silence. And when I got home from my last deployment in April of 2018, he brought me this rope. Right here, this rope. And I looked right at him and I said, "Huh? What?" He explained, "Man, I want you to know when I was sick, there were days that I wanted to give up, but your story helped me through. That one story about being at the end of your rope, it got to me. I'm giving you this rope to hang on to because I want you to know that I'm here for you." So I got this rope and I started crying. It was quite touching. So I received this gift because my lifelong friend's flag would not stand for me being at my bottom. He recognized the pain that was once inside of me and wouldn't stand for it. So he stepped up, went completely out of his way to make sure that I knew that someone had my back. And that is what we as Americans do. And this is important. Americans step up when others will not. An example of this is Americans will not stand for substandard health care for its veterans. Many of us returned home with the silent injuries that I spoke of earlier and sought help through the VA. Early in the War on Terror, there were awful stories of veterans receiving inadequate care or never being seen at all. Thankfully, changes were made and the level of care at the VA has improved. I can personally attest that the VA is much better than it was 15 years ago. Why is that? Why has the VA improved its services? Let me tell you. Because you, as Americans, would not let your flag stand for that. Thank you, America. Because I may not be standing here with you today if you allowed mediocrity to stand for veterans' health care. Your democratic concerns change things in order for veterans like me to receive the care I so drastically needed. Thank you. The final story that I'm going to tell you tonight was added to this speech at the very last minute. 10 days ago, I had the privilege to travel to the West Coast. And while returning to the airport, the cab driver, an Indian man about 55 to 60 years of age with a long, real long gray beard, had a story to tell. And even if I wasn't listening, this guy was going to tell his story. And so this man had lived in various places across the world. He had seen the world, no doubt. So I asked him the obvious question. Where was your favorite place to live? I was jealous of the guy. He had been to so many places, traveled the world. Where was your favorite place to live? The man thought for a minute and he answered with these paraphrased words. Well, I'll tell you from the beginning, he said. I went to Russia where I was persecuted. I was in Australia and I couldn't obtain employment. My children had a different accent than the people did in London, and after several terrorist attacks from Middle Eastern countries, it was hopeless for all of us in Europe. We went to South America where I was a paint salesman for 2 years, and I made a lot of money. A lot of money. Much more than I'm making now driving a cab here in Seattle. But my children did not receive the education they deserved because we weren't South American. And then I had the opportunity to come to America, where now I'm a citizen and my family are citizens. I no longer move my family across the world because I am in America. And now I live free. And these words will stick with me for the rest of my life. He said, "The land of the free, the home of the brave is what you say, and this is where we will stay." And so he continued with this story because he was going to tell it. Like I told you, we weren't finished with our 30-minute drive, so he was going to keep going. But I was all ears now. The guy had me. He continued, "In India, there's a proverb about a boy who loses a tooth. The boy continuously puts his tongue in the void where the tooth once was. 'Father, Father, I have no tooth,' and his father tells him, 'Son, be happy. You still have 31 teeth. Do you see that old man over there? He can no longer chew a fig because he has no teeth.' The cab driver then said to me, 'You see, it seems to me that most Americans are like that little boy. You have no idea how lucky you are. You have riches beyond all nations, but yet you focus on the one tooth that is not there. Those are powerful and truthful words, and we should all be thankful. We are truly blessed to be part of the greatest nation. So, those are a few stories, a few personal stories about my stories of humanity. And standing before you, however, over here, are 301 stories of humanity that were unexpectedly cut short. Stories of mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, aunts, uncles, co-workers, friends, church members. Stories of families, softball team shortstops, children, holidays, marriage, parties, travels, adventures, good kissers, knuckle crackers, and fingernail biters. Lives of Americans, all cut short. Ohio Flags of Honor in this ceremony carries the memories of our fallen brothers and sisters on throughout time. These lives, these stories of humanity, their stories are full of loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. The 301 flags representing United States Armed Service members, their flag would not stand for an attack on America. Their flag would not stand for poverty, persecution, starvation. Their flag would not stand for innocent lives being unnecessarily taken, a friend hitting rock bottom without lending some rope, or poor health care for any American. These military members' flags would not stand for no longer fighting for what is right when there was still fight left in them. These fine Americans made the ultimate sacrifice protecting our freedoms, including those freedoms for an Indian immigrant and his family's right to their own lives, free from persecution. Their flag stands for freedom. The simple thought that the stories of these fallen comrades might go unremembered, that their lives might have ended with the sound of a 21-gun salute, the thought that these stories might not receive continued love from Americans, from Ohioans, that thought is unacceptable. And among us, there is an extraordinary group of people whose flag will not stand for that. Thank you, Ohio Flags of Honor. My flag will not stand for that either. Today, my flag rests atop a 30-foot pole in my front yard with the light on it at all times. And every single day I go out my front door, I pay respects to all my fallen brothers and sisters. True patriotism is not a short and frenzied outburst of emotion, but the tranquil and steady dedication of an entire lifetime. So, if you want to truly thank a soldier, be the kind of American worth fighting for. My flag will always stand for that. Thank you all. God bless and good night.
Thank you, Joel. Fine speech. Thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to bring up our next speaker, Mr. Gino Zimmer. I have now known Gino for a few years. I think he's proud of that. I'm not sure. I have learned a lot from him, to include patience, and the true meaning of selfless service, what it is to be absolutely sincere, and above all, resilient. Gino is a man who knows no adversity, as he keeps it foreign to him. I look up to him, and I am proud of him. Gino is a proud father and a driven man with a very compassionate heart. Working with Gino has been healing for myself and has forged a friendship that can never be replaced. With that, my honor to introduce Mr. Gino Zimmer.
No. Stay seated, please. Thank you, though. It's not about me. It's about them, period. And I just happen to be the one here tonight with them. If I say something that is not politically correct, I do not apologize. My son didn't fight for that. But I just want to tell you a little short thing here. I'm not a speaker, that much of a speaker, but just to get back to these men and women, I want to tell you a little story about a man that I never got to meet. A man that saved my life. I was more a money grumbling, how many toys can I have? And I didn't even use most of them because I was too busy working to get more. And I just let life pass me by, the most important part about life. And that's caring about others. And my son, that's that man I never got to meet. Not only did he receive 2 medals of accommodations, one with valor, and 2 medals, Bronze Stars, one with valor, and a Purple Heart with a cluster, all in 12 months, and before he even turned 21 years old. He also saved some men and women over in Iraq. And it just amazes me because he left the house at 18 straight out of high school. He was going to go to college because he wanted to fly the Apache helicopters, but he started out on the Abrams tank and he was very proud of it. And like Joel was saying, my son knew, he told me, don't listen to the media, Dad. What we're doing here is a worthy cause. And so please, Dad, don't listen to the media, and so I didn't. I took my son's word for it. That's who I trust. And he just saved my life. Look at this. I didn't create this. My son created this. I couldn't do this. There's no way. Me and my wife are the founders, but the idea came from him. He just wasn't the kind of guy that wanted a statue of himself in a field. And, it just didn't strike me like Nicholas. He was always a team player. And I know he's proud being out there with all of his comrades that also have fallen with him. There's a lot of things been said today, and still thank you for everyone coming out here and taking time out of your lives, especially when we haven't had that good of weather and maybe you want to finally barbecue, picnic, go to the zoo or whatever, and you came here instead. And that means a lot to me, and I know it means a lot to the families and the loved ones and the friends and such of those men and women out to my left. And one more thing I want to say, why I started this, another reason, was mainly also, I grew up during the Vietnam era, and I was a young kid, and I have vivid memories of watching Water Concrete and stuff on TV, and how horrible our men and women were treated. And I might not have been in Vietnam, but I have the pain that some of them may suffer anyways because of the disgraceful nation that we had at that time. And this is to remind you, men and women that have been in combat and you've come home and you may have lost a comrade, Ohio Flags of Honor has their back. You carry on. God has you here for a reason. I should have died a few times. I've been in the trauma center a couple of times. I should not be here. For some reason I am. Maybe God has a plan for me. but he also has a plan for those veterans that come home that's seen things that I will never see and I will never be able to relate to. And I just want to let you all know, thank you for yourself and for your sacrifice, and welcome home. And thank you all. Good night.
Thank you, Gino. At this time, I'd like to call upon the Lake Erie Shores chapter of the Blue Star Mothers. Tonight, the Blue Star Mothers will be presenting the carnations to the Gold Star families, as they will place them later this evening with their soldiers or service members. Gino calls them the soldiers. Nicholas was a soldier, so he refers to all of them as his soldiers. So when I do that, and it's you know, Marines, I got you. Okay. All right. So with that, though, we are going to introduce the Gold Star families. As I say your family's name, if you would go ahead and just raise your hand so that the Blue Star moms can find you, so that we can give you your carnation, please. Chuck and Carol Hoffman, parents of Sergeant Justin Hoffman, United States Marine Corps. Scott and Lisa Sparks and baby Sparks. Parents of Private First Class Jason L. Sparks, United States Army. Dwayne and Sherry Schock, parents of Corporal Jeremy S. Schock, United States Marine Corps. Tammy Rogers Fairchild and Kevin Rogers, the sister and brother of Sergeant First Class Gregory S. Rogers. Also, their daughter Brittany Witt and children Kaylin and Brexley, along with Audrey, Ian, Nathaniel. Charles and Velvet Adkins, parents of Sergeant First Class Charles L. Adkins, United States Army. Gino Zimmer, parent of Specialist Nicholas E. Zimmer, United States Army. And I believe the last family did not come, so we'll save that one. At this time, I would like to call up to the stage, up front here, the Sparks family. Scott and Lisa Sparks and baby Sparks. For those that don't know, and you'll only ever be baby Sparks to me, just so you know that. She loves it. The Sparks family is our only present Gold Star family tonight, actually from Huron County. So they will be taking the center wreath out this evening with Gino. I'm going to go ahead and turn the microphone over to Angelo. Okay. All right, and with that, I'll also go ahead and ask Mr. and Mrs. Atkins to come up as well. And if I could have Sherry and Dwayne come up, or the Hoffmans, whoever wants to do it, so that we can get the rest of the wreaths out as well.
You're going to take the whole rack out to the center and place it by the battlefield cross. Yeah, take the weight off the bottom. Just flip that over, Robert. As we're doing this, let's just take some time for reflection. I'm going to bring Rocky back up here in a second. But, you know, we talked about 301 fallen heroes. When you hear that number, certainly compared to what you folks can go ahead, certainly compared to what we've lost in Vietnam, you know, that's small in comparison by far. But when you read them off one by one by one by one, and you see the line, it starts here, goes back here, circles back around and comes back around and goes halfway past the tent. You understand the impact these wars have had on our families here in Ohio. And for these families that have lost loved ones, one was way too many. So with that, we have a song of reflection. I'm going to invite Rocky back up here, please.
18 and called for duty, God and country and fellow man. Beaches made for beauty, covered with bloody grains of sand. Mothers, hide your children. There's danger in this land. And Father, please forgive me, for I know not who I am. Fly home, my sweet angel, from sea to shining sea. Fly home, my sweet angel, won't you fly on home to me? I can hear the devil's calling, bombs and sirens fill up the air, and I can see my brothers falling everywhere, God, everywhere. Mothers, hide your children. There's danger in this place. And Father, please forgive me, for I know not who I am. Fly home, my sweet angel, from sea to shining sea. Fly home, my sweet angel, won't you fly on home to me? Won't you fly home, my sweet angel, from sea to shining sea. Fly home, my sweet angel, won't you fly on home to me? Won't you fly on home to me? Yes, y'all.
Okay, at this time we are going to begin to conclude our program for tonight. We're going to invite Reverend Michael Leonard up to the podium to do the benediction. That will be followed by our bagpiper with Amazing Grace and the 945th Engineer Support Company from the Ohio Army National Guard out of Norwalk will conduct the 21-gun salute. We will finish with taps performed by Danielle Balmar and Jacqueline Harris, Willard High School trumpeteers performing taps. Once we are complete with that, we will have one final announcement and then we will close our program. At this time, I'd like to bring up Reverend Michael Leonard for the benediction.
Would you please bow your hearts and heads with me, please? Father, our hearts are moved as we ponder the lives that have been honored here tonight. We are grateful for each of these American heroes that made the ultimate sacrifice to protect our country and maintain the freedom that we enjoy as Americans. This memorial reminds us all, freedom isn't free. I pray for every family member that has come to honor the memory of their loved one. We pray that the Holy Spirit would comfort each heart and reassure them that a thankful nation cares for them and appreciates their fallen heroes' sacrifice. And as people of all ages walk these hallowed grounds this weekend, may their hearts be made aware of the greatness of the people that are represented by these American flags. When our way of life was challenged, they answered the call. I believe if they were able to speak to us today, I think many would say it's an honor to serve. I pray especially, Lord, for the up and coming generation, that they would have a better understanding of the cost and the blessings of freedom. Thank you, Lord, for demonstrating for us at the cross what you said in John 15:13. Greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. And may your blessing and presence be upon this memorial, and would you please touch the hearts and the lives of all who come. In Jesus' name, amen.